The new Lloydminster Nissan is moving. We'll be temporarily relocating to the Big Blue Building on Highway 16 West, formerly known as Border City RV. And before we have to tediously move every single vehicle on the lot, we'd rather sell it. You can save today on our incredible Nissan lineup of cars, trucks, and SUVs. Move a new or pre-owned vehicle to your driveway with deep discounts. The moving out sale is on now at the new Lloydminster Nissan. The new Lloydminster Nissan. We won't sell you a car, we'll help you buy one.
Local people. Local news and events. Local sports. Local matters. For all things Lloydminster and area, this is Live with Kurt Price.
Welcome to Live with Kurt Price. I'm Kurt Price with the new Lloydminster Nissan, which will be moving soon. And so the moving sale continues. Great day to stop in and save some dollars on a new truck or car or SUV. And right now at the new Lloydminster Nissan, do not pay for 6 months OAC. Well, Chris and Chris are our guest today. We're going to be talking with Chris Brinklow about the Border City Card Show tomorrow. And former Edmonton Oiler, Pittsburgh Penguin, Philadelphia Flyer, Tampa Bay Lightning, Atlanta Thrasher, Phoenix Coyote, and Vancouver Canuck, Chris Joseph is going to be joining us as well. We're going to talk to Chris about his visit tomorrow. And what's really interesting about that conversation, because full disclosure, we did it yesterday, is the conversation around the punch-up in Piestani, which people will remember was the 1987 World Junior Hockey Championship, in which they had to turn the lights off to get the Russians and the Canadians to stop fighting, and it didn't work. Let's put it that way. So we'll talk to Chris about that. Well, if you are faced with some sort of disaster, whether that's a fire, whether that's flood, or whether you're looking for drug or asbestos cleanup, you can call BioClean Disaster Services in Lloydminster. BioClean is a local company that will move quickly and help you get your life back to where it was before the disaster. Taking care of your home, your business, taking care of your items, your property is very, very important to them. But you know what's the most important? Taking care of you and your family along the way and getting your family back to where it was before the disaster. BioClean Disaster Services, they're local, 1-833-246-8326. Well, just a couple of things here this morning, and then we'll get into the details on the Border City Card Show, which is a fundraiser for B. Fisher Foundation as well. Lloydminster Bobcats play again tonight. 3-1 loss last night at the Civic Center. They play tonight, 7 o'clock. They're taking on the Camrose Kodiaks. Lloydminster Cross Country Ski Club, their AGM is coming up on October the 25th. It runs from 7 to 8:30 p.m., and they're looking for new board members. They're looking for new volunteers, and they're looking for new coaches. Volunteers are responsible for grooming trails and doing all kinds of fun stuff to get the club to where it needs to be. Border City Rotary Club planning a pancake breakfast for Saturday, October 28th at Spiro's. Join them between 8 and 10 a.m. with pancakes at just $5 a person, and those go to the Holy Rosary Girls volleyball team. The Lloydminster RCMP are inviting you to a town hall meeting on Tuesday at 6 p.m. in the OTS room at the Service Sports Center. RCMP members will be on hand to discuss year-to-year details and progress that they've been making, and they'll also be taking some questions. That starts at 6 o'clock, and again, that is this Tuesday night, OTS room at the Service Sports Center. We're going to stick out at the Service Sports Center where today the Border City Farmers Market is taking place. It runs from 11 to 4 with over 30 vendors on hand and a great selection of food, of course, baking, all kinds of homemade products, popular items, and a whole lot more. Well, let's get into the Border City Card Show, which is tomorrow. And where is the Border City Card Show taking place, Chris?
It's going to be taking place at the Rolling Green Fairways.
Is that upstairs, like in the barn thing?
No, it's actually in their event center.
Oh, right,
there,
okay.
so,
You got a lot of vendors coming then.
And it's funny because I was at the Bobcats game last night, and I had this guy message me on Facebook, is there any more tables left? I'm like, I could squeeze one in. Mm-hmm. So 2 nights before the show, I'm still booking a table. So we have over about 42, 43 vendors, tables that'll be there. And it's going to be fantastic. Like, he's a local guy, saw the post and wanted to be involved.
What time do the doors open? What does it run to? And what's the cost?
So the doors open at 11, runs till 5 o'clock. Chris Joseph, as we spoke about before, he's going to be there from 11 till 2. He's coming right after his shift tonight, and he's driving out, so he's going to be on zero sleep, but he's a trooper. And then the cost at the door is $5 for adults. For kids, for teenagers, $2, and then 6 and under are free. But we just want people to be assured that the money paid at the door is not coming in my pocket. It's not, nobody's profiting off this event. It's going right back into our community here in Lloydminster.
Okay, you mentioned Chris is traveling after a shift. For those that don't know, Chris is a firefighter. Chris Joseph, firefighter. We're going to ask him about that, too. We'll take a break. We'll come back and talk to Chris Joseph, and then we'll find out more about the Border City Card Show with Chris Brinklow in just a moment here on Live with Kurt Price.
At Lloydminster and District Co-op, membership matters more. Because being part of a co-op means you're connected to something bigger than yourself. From long-held legacy by those who built our communities, to people you call family, friends, and neighbors. When you're a Lloyd Co-op member, you're an owner in a local business that prides itself on purpose alongside profit. You earn cash back, you help support causes that matter most, and you're building a better way of life for the next generation. Membership matters more.
I'm Brian Zinchuk of PipelineOnline.ca. I used to be a pipeliner, and I've spent the last 15 years reporting on energy in Saskatchewan. PipelineOnline.ca provides comprehensive coverage of light oil, heavy oil, lithium, helium, power production including coal, wind, solar, geothermal, natural gas, and nuclear. There's a lot happening in Saskatchewan's energy sector, and Pipeline Online is there for all of it. No one else comes even close.
It's more than just taxes at LNA CPA. Assurance, accounting, retirement planning, estate planning, business consulting, financial consulting, farm program support, and bookkeeping. But yes, there is always taxes. The team at LNA CPA is committed to helping you achieve your best results and will be there to assist you every step of the way. LNA CPA, with offices in Provost, Vermilion, and Lloydminster.
Our guest today is a veteran of the NHL of, is it 15 seasons? I'm going to ask him that in just a moment to make sure, but I believe it's 15 NHL seasons and pro career that lasted 19 years. Chris Joseph, who calls Edmonton home. He's a member of the Edmonton Oilers alumni, of course, and he's also a firefighter in Edmonton as well, which I want to ask him a little bit about as well. And he's coming to Lloydminster on, well, tomorrow. Chris, thanks for being here. Really appreciate it.
Thanks. Pleasure to be here.
Lloydminster coming out on Sunday for the Border City Card Show. Ever been to Lloydminster before?
Yeah, well, I mean, like most people, passed through quite a bit. But we were out there. I've been out there for kids hockey games and tournaments. And then we were out there with the Oilers alumni. We did the Battle of Alberta against the Flames a couple of years ago now.
Yeah, that's right, too. Yeah.
Yeah, and so I've been out there a few times, fairly familiar with the area. Looking forward to coming back.
So it's a card show. Chris will be at Rolling Green Fairways from 11 to 2 tomorrow, and he's going to be signing some autographs, and I believe there's a speaking session as well. I want to ask you, because being a collector myself, I love memorabilia. Was it, well, first maybe I should ask, 15 years in the NHL?
Yeah, 14 years. I did 14 years NHL, and then I did 5 years in Europe. So in total, I was 19 years professional hockey, but 14 years NHL, and a mix of up and down and Oilers and Penguins, and yeah. Big mix.
Did you collect any memorabilia yourself? Like, are you a hockey card guy, or anything particular that you collected?
When I was a kid, I collected cards, but I wouldn't say I collected them. I would put my Gretzky cards in my spokes and ride my bike around, so they're worthless today. And then as I got on in my career, I realized that I was playing with some pretty good players, so I collected some sticks. So I've got about 50 sticks in my garage, and they're Eric Lindros, Jaromir Jagr, Mario Lemieux, Ron Francis, like Denny Savard. So I've got quite a few. But yeah, they're sitting in my garage. I got about 50 of them.
Oh, that's awesome. So you played with these guys, or did you ever do the Peter Nedved where you ask a opposing team that you're playing for a stick?
I did. I asked Brett Hull, never played with him. I asked him for a stick. But most of the guys I played with, like all those names I mentioned, Savard, Lemieux, Yager. I played with all those guys, so I was lucky that way. I actually got to play with a lot of the great players.
You did play with some unbelievable players in your career. Start growing up in Burnaby, was Wayne Gretzky was the guy though?
Yeah, like when I was growing up in Burnaby, the Canucks were never really very good, and the Oilers were sort of just coming on as I was getting, to my teenage years. And so, I was born in 1969, so I was, watching the Oilers sort of grow up as I was growing up, and just wow, what a team, right? And so I became an Oilers fan, and then yeah, it was crazy to think that it was like 5 years later I'm on the same team with Wayne and Mark and everybody. So that was pretty cool.
You get traded to Edmonton in your rookie year. What's it like walking into that dressing room in Edmonton? I mean, not like you're coming from Pittsburgh where there's a superstar there as well, but you're going to Edmonton where, as you mentioned, Gretzky's there, Messier's there. What's it like walking into that dressing room? And you got a guy I'm sure you admired in Glenn Sather that's your general manager too.
Yeah, it was intimidating, to be honest. It was also I had gone as an 18-year-old, I'd gone to Pittsburgh where I was expected to learn and make mistakes and do all that kind of stuff. But then I get traded to the Oilers, and their blue line was set. Like they had a good blue line. They had Steve Smith, Jeff Bukaboom, Randy Gregg, Charlie Huddy, Kevin Lowe, Craig Muni. Like they were good. And so as an 18-year-old, it was hard to get ice time. And so then I went from, playing regular, making my mistakes, doing my growing pains, to all of a sudden, sitting in the press box. It was a tough go. But I did the best I could. At the end of the day, you try to eke out a career and do the best you can. And yeah, no complaints. I enjoyed my time. I love the Oilers club. I love the players. I love the staff. Everybody treated us really good. And of course, winning's always nice.
Why did you end up calling Edmonton home? You played numerous seasons in other places. Why was Edmonton home?
I married a St. Albert girl. And I've been here ever since. No, it's good. So I met my wife when I was playing here, and she's from St. Albert. So we've been here ever since. I always kind of considered myself a West Coast boy growing up in Burnaby. And I thought, nothing will ever take me away from the coast, but here I am. And I love it. I do love living in Alberta, except for one thing, the weather. And that's pretty much everybody. But yeah, I love everything about Alberta. Just you got to get away once in a while in the winter.
Other than Edmonton, was there a place you played that you just absolutely loved?
Yeah, quite a few actually. Pittsburgh has this image of a dirty steel town. Not at all. It's beautiful, green rolling hills, lots of beautiful areas. Philadelphia, my wife said one of her favorites because it had like 4 perfect seasons. You'd have 3 months of winter, 3 months of spring. You know how here in Alberta we get 6 months of winter and then everything else is compressed. Phoenix, played in Phoenix. I mean, it's unreal. Wearing shorts to the rink. Tampa, wearing shorts to the rink. So they were all really, really good. I got to play back in my hometown, which is very special.
Yeah.
So I was really lucky. The only places that I didn't really care for was Finland. I played a year in Finland, and that wasn't so much, the country. It was just sort of the lifestyle. We were training 2-a-days, and my wife was pregnant with our third, and I didn't see her a lot. We were living in a small little apartment, and our first time in Europe. So, but then we went on to Germany and Italy, and loved it. So there was a lot of great places to play.
I want to talk about another team you played for, the World Junior Hockey Championship team in '88. But I think everybody wants to know about the punch up in Piestani. Now, I remember I was at a hockey game in Purdue, playing in a game in Purdue, and there's just a rumbling goes through the arena. They're fighting at the World Junior Hockey Championship. You're on the ice, Chris, when that breaks out. Can you tell me about the punch up in Piestani and what it was like to be on the ice when that started and when they turned the lights off?
Well, I tell people, first of all, I don't think I started it, but I was probably the second fight. So if I were to set it up for you. Like it was a pretty chippy game. But setting that up, we were going for gold. We needed to win by 5 or more to get a gold. If I recall correctly, if we won by 5 or less, we got a silver. If we lost, we got a bronze. So we had a medal regardless. And the Russians were not a very good team that year, and they were out of medal contention. And there was no playoff games. It was just round robin. So the Russians wanted to rain on our parade and just spoil any chances we had. And so they were playing really chippy. They were out of control. The rumors were they weren't even getting fed. So they were very unhappy. So our game started off, it was 4-2 in the second period, but like one little stick turned into another little chop, turned into a slash, turned into an elbow. We had a Norwegian referee, a Polish linesman, and a Finnish linesman, and the ref just couldn't keep up. Like we were going too fast for him. He was out of his league. And so turned into, one little thing. And then before I know it, like I think Fleury stuck somebody and they were sort of going at it, but at the very same time, somebody took a swing at me. I ducked, I jumped on them and we started rolling around like alligators. And, I was throwing punches and so I'm just sort of tied up with that one guy. And it ended up being a guy named Chesterikov. I didn't know who he was, but funny enough, when I was in Philadelphia, I asked Valery Zelapuka and I go, "Were you there?" And he's like, "Yeah." "Who are you fighting?" And we looked at each other like maybe we were fighting each other for a while. So we had a good laugh. But I looked up and I see both benches coming at me and I'm like, okay, I'm on top. So I'm thinking they're going to come after me first. So I got up and I let my guy go. And it was like bees flying past, zoom, 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 like that. And like everybody's going everywhere and it was chaos and kind of skated around looking to help somebody. I think I skated right past Stefan Waugh, Patrick Waugh's brother. He was getting 2-on-1. I didn't even see him. He was literally 5 feet away from me. I go down to the goal, kind of help pull somebody off a goalie, go in the corner. Ivan Corvo is getting 2-on-1. And somebody's got his arms held back. And so I go and I grab the guy that's holding him. And the other Russian takes off. So now we got a 2-on-1. And I look at Ivan, I'm like, hit him. And he sort of just looks and he slunks his shoulders and he's exhausted. And he's like, no. So anyways, long story short, they turn out the lights. We go a little stupider. And then they leave the ice, the referees. And then we finally decide we're going to break ourselves up. So we pick up our gear. This takes forever. But the whole thing lasted minutes. We pick up our gear. We go to the room. We then are told by our manager that we have been disqualified from the tournament and we've been asked to leave the country. And we were in Slovakia at that time. It was Czechoslovakia. So we shower up, get our gear. We leave the room. I throw my bag over my shoulder and we're walking out of the room. And as we leave, there's military guards. Every Czechoslovakian military guard has a machine gun over his shoulder and a German Shepherd in his other hand. And we had to walk right down the middle of this procession of military. We jumped on the bus and we left. And I don't even know where we slept that night. I think we went straight to the airport in Zurich or something like that. So it was crazy.
When you say we went a little crazier when they shut the lights off, and like, what does that mean, Chris? What does that?
Well, there were some guys that were also frustrated. There were some guys that maybe didn't get enough ice time. There were some guys that were just really mad at the Russians. And so when the lights go off, as we all know, everything's black. And then within seconds, you're adjusting to light and dark a little bit, right? So we knew we were wearing whites. They were wearing reds. So you could tell who's light and who's dark. And so guys, some guys just took it upon themselves to start suckering guys from behind. And even Brendan Shanahan said that he did things that he kind of regrets. But the game was out of control, and we didn't know. I grew up playing in the Western Hockey League, and we were used to fights. Fights were just normal, and we thought for sure, there's going to be a lot of penalties. Go back out and finish the game, and you see that wasn't the case.
You win it the next year in Russia.
Yeah.
How's that? How good is that for you?
Okay, so a little backstory for that one too. Then they look at us and they're like, okay, Russia and Canada are both suspended for 2 years from international hockey. And then somebody in the IIHF goes, hey, tournament's in Moscow next year. So IIHF goes, okay, both teams are suspended for 11 and a half months, which basically just puts us right back in Moscow. So we go to Moscow the next year, and I was fortunate. I was one of 4 players. There was me, Theo Fleury, Greg Hoggood, and Jimmy Waite, our goalie. The 4 of us were on the team again. So we go there, and we're told to be on our best behavior. And we had a good team. The Russians had a good team, but we ended up beating them on their home ice 3-2, and our goalie stood on his head. Theo Fleury and Sheldon Kennedy played lights out, unreal. A lot of aspects we probably didn't deserve that win, but we did. And then because of our ranking, we played like West Germany and Switzerland the next 2, and it was a cakewalk. So it was a foregone conclusion. We had already won. So yeah, we ended up winning a gold medal. So I got the gold medal the next year. But interestingly, so I got to keep telling, from the previous year, so we got disqualified. We come home, it's shame. Brian Williams and Don Cherry getting a fight on TV about, whether this is a good thing for Canadian hockey. So about a month after we get disqualified, Harold Ballard, who owned the Leafs, invited us all to a Leafs game. So he flies us out to Toronto. He introduces us to the Maple Leaf crowd. We walk across the blue line. We get a standing ovation from the crowd. And then Harold Ballard comes out and gives us gold medals that he made himself. And they're pretty cool. On one side, it says the Maple Leaf Forever. And then the other side just says World Junior Championships. So I have 2 medals. And I love my 88 one, but my 87 one's a little more special.
That is unbelievable. Like all the things you hear about Harold Ballard, and I watched the Harold Ballard documentary. I don't think they mentioned that, but yeah. This is a card show, so I want to ask you one more thing. Do you have a favorite hockey card? Do you have a stack of them? Like do NHL players get a stack of them? Like I remember talking to Brian Scrudland or hearing Brian Scrudland say something like, "Oh, I love to sign hockey cards. I'd hand them out in the locker room. I had so many. I'd leave them in guys' stalls."
Yeah. I mean, do I have one of my favorites?
Yeah.
Or no, I mean, not really. They're all
not even the upper deck one where your hair is just flying.
Great hair. I know. I miss that hair.
Yeah.
No, like I don't really have a favorite one. I have a least favorite one. I have one where they've got me left-handed and it's Jeff Smith and it's got all my stats. And I showed Smitty back in the day. And he's like, yeah, I don't know. Like, so everybody's got a bit of a goofed up card. And that one's mine. The rest are okay. I mean, I seem to always be hooking or holding or clutching or grabbing, somebody, which I'm like, oh, that's 90s defense. But, like I don't really have a favorite, but yeah, the one with that's actually not me. I get that one a lot. And then the other thing I get a lot too, like when I do get cards, sometimes I get Cujo's cards and I'm like, yeah, I'm not a goalie, like, so I get mixed up for him quite a bit.
You mentioned the clutching and the grabbing in the 90s. What do you think of today's game? Like, do you like the NHL game today?
I love most of it. I think it's great. There's some things I don't love, but I think the game has never been faster, never been more beautiful. But some of the things I don't like that there's really not much of an onus on anybody to protect themselves anymore. We see a lot of times, especially in minor hockey, somebody gets a penalty for just being too big, too strong, and I don't agree with that. I think it teaches kids to keep their heads down the whole time. We used to see it with kids turning their backs and, you get a hit from behind. When I grew up, it was taboo. You don't turn your back on anybody ever. And then we started getting big players like Rob Blake and Jaromir Jagr and Peter Forsberg, and they had the ability to do that. But 90% of the population in the hockey world doesn't have the ability to turn their back and bump against somebody else. So you're taking the worst of it. So the game is beautiful. The game is fast. But I don't like that they've put the onus on the hitter as much as they have. I think there should be more of I tell people sometimes, I go, that guy should get a penalty for being an idiot. Just 2 minutes for turning your back and being a dummy. And, like, so I see that. I get a little frustrated with that. But overall, I think that the game has never been faster. The skill levels off the charts. The players are trying stuff that we didn't even dream of trying. So it's pretty cool to watch.
You do hockey schools, hockey camps. Do you see you can see the skill level coming in kids? I mean, it looks to me like the NHL is a young man's league right now.
Sure, yeah. And they want to do stuff. And, like I'll run a camp where they're doing little stations, and I'll do a power skating station where they're doing crossovers, and they're like, yeah, boring. But then I'll do a Michigan station where you're pulling the puck and doing a lacrosse move with the Michigan, and the kids are just fired up for that one. They're like, I want to do the Michigan. I'm like, well, you can't just sit here all day and do the Michigan, but that's what they want to do. And so they get excited for things like that, and then if one kid's really good at the eagle turns where he's doing 10 and 2 with his feet, like Crosby, then he's pretty proud of himself. And then I've got to demo it, and I'm 54 years old and my hips don't do that. And so I'm like, okay, I'll do my best. But it's pretty cool. The kids are talented these days, and they're not afraid to try new things.
How often do you do hockey schools?
Well, I do my annual once a year. I've got 2 straight weeks in St. Albert in August. And then throughout the hockey season, I do one-offs. I go out with a Pee Wee team and I'll teach power skating, and I'll go out with an Atom team and I'll teach shooting. And so what I get now is I get a lot of teams call me up and they're like, Chris, we have ice on Friday at this rink at 5:00. Can you make it? And, can you teach us shooting? So I do that quite a bit.
A firefighter. How long before you retired did you know you wanted to be a firefighter, or was it after retirement that you decided I want to get into this awesome profession?
Well, I think in my last couple of years, so like I went to Europe my last few years, and I knew that there was, that was the beginning of the end. And I was lucky I got 5 years out of Europe. But growing up in Burnaby, I had a couple of good buddies that got on the Burnaby Fire Department. And I stayed in touch with them throughout my career. And, they would tell me they're doing this, they're doing that. And I seemed to be having a lot of fun together. And then I'm like, well, I'm not, I'm not highly educated. And so I'm looking at, ways to get a decent job that felt like a team, that gave me some action. So my last year in Milan, Italy, I kind of knew it was my last year. I called the NHLPA. I did a whole bunch of courses online. I had to do my medical stuff. I had to do my driving stuff, which I did in the summer. But then I had to do this NFPA 1001, which is basically the National Fire Protection Act. And it's basically learn how to be a firefighter. And so I did that course while I was playing in Milan. And it gave me the foundation, of what to do. And then by the time I had gotten home from Milan, it was March. I had my ducks in a row and I was ready to go. So I applied in April and went through the process. I had to do the aptitude test, the fitness test, all that stuff, just like everybody else. And I did well. So I got on, and it's been a wonderful career. I really enjoy it. I'm in my 17th year now. It goes fast.
Wow. Do you get to a lot of Oiler games? Do you go to a lot of?
I probably go to about 6 or 7 a year, which is fine. I wouldn't have the inclination to even go to 42 games a year. I got stuff going on. I'm a pretty busy guy, and plus I'm still working full time, and
yeah,
I have night shifts. But 5 or 6 or 7, that's pretty good for me. But I'm still really active with the alumni. So we skate at Rogers with the alumni. We go do events all the time. I actually just got back yesterday from Red Deer. I was down there doing the Curtis Glencross Invitational. Went down, played a couple hockey games with some of his old buddies, and then we played poker in the evenings. It was fun. It was a good time.
Well, we really appreciate this. I've taken up way too much of your time, but once again, Chris Joseph will be in Lloydminster 11 to 2 tomorrow at Rolling Green Fairways. If you got some of those great hockey cards, maybe you got a Jeff Smith you'd like to get autographed, you can certainly do that, but no Curtis Joseph cards, okay? And
remember, I'm not a goalie.
Really appreciate this, Chris. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Jason Arden and Associates Cooperators. We're proud to be a top-rated local insurance company that offers flexible solutions and expert advice for all your insurance and investment needs. We'll work with you to tailor your insurance specific to your needs, and we offer investment advice that always puts you first. At Cooperators, one of our core values is to support the communities we live in. When you support Jason Arden and Associates Cooperators, you are supporting local nonprofits and initiatives. Since 2020, we have donated $60,000 to local nonprofits, youth, sponsorships, and various special projects. When was the last time your insurance company did that?
How can you help support the oil and gas industry and jobs in Western Canada? The answer is closer than you think. Sell your scrap metals to PWM Steel. PWM sells scrap iron to Evraz, located in Regina. Evraz's #1 customer is the energy sector, building pipes and plates for the oil and gas industry. PWM Steel is your locally owned metal recycler and steel service center in the area. Plus, they're a strong supporter of the community. PWM Steel, your top steel supplier for Alberta and Saskatchewan for 40 years.
At Diamond 7 Meats, we work with local farm families to provide a high-quality product and a great selection for you. Try our mouth-watering smokies, pulled pork, roast beef, and more, made pure and natural with no additives or fillers. We offer custom processing, and our experienced team works for you to provide a selection of sausage, burgers, and jerkies made to your specifications. Take your grilling to the next level with a Yoder smoker. Complete the grilling experience with Canadian-made, award-winning line of House of Q barbecue sauces. We're locally owned and operated, and we look forward to seeing you today.
Welcome back to Live with Kurt Price. Chris Brinklow is our guest, and Superior Water is one of their prize sponsors. We just want to let you know Superior Water has 2 locations in Lloydminster, and they are open Saturdays and Sundays to make filling your big blue jugs a whole lot quicker. And if you want great tasting water right from your tap, you can call Superior Water and ask them about their under-the-sink reverse osmosis. Their number is 780-875-6636. I drink Superior Water because I like the taste, and I believe that it is superior to anyone else's water. Superior Water, open on Saturdays and Sundays, 57th Avenue, Monday to Friday from 8 to 6, and Saturdays and Sundays 10 to 5. Plus, of course, they have their coin-operated location that's on Highway 17, right by 7-Eleven. Okay, Chris, so you were telling me Superior Water is a sponsor. They've got some prizes. Tell us about that prize and some other prizes that you've got going on, because it is a fundraiser for beef fishers. So you're raising some funds in a few different ways, not just at the door.
Right. So, yeah, Dale has provided a family night out, so some movie tickets and a meal over at Montana's. So we do appreciate Superior Water support in this event, and that's one of the prizes, one of the many prizes that can be won at this event. It's not only just for the beef fisher. We've had a couple of organizations that would like to be involved. So we have Pleasant View Bible Camp and also Lloydminster Sexual Assault Services that we're going to be chipping in and helping out as well, because they still have their foundation issues and they need some supplies for their, the victims that they deal with there. So we're just trying to spread the love throughout Lloydminster. We got Home Hardware here in town. We have, there's so many organizations in town that just got behind this event. Even our local Bobcats, and I sent you this picture last night of this beautiful 40th anniversary jersey, all signed by this year's team, and that is one of the items that you can win just by coming in. And there are tickets that you can purchase to buy to get in on those draws, but it's a beauty of a jersey for sure.
Calgary Flames. Boy, you got some nice Calgary Flames stuff.
Yeah, I wrote them and I was like, hey, do you guys want to help out? Help out another Alberta community? And they're like, sure. They didn't tell me what they were going to send, but I got it in the mail last week, and they sent 5 glossy pictures, all autographed by current Flame players. We got Dylan Dubé, we got Zordorov, we got the hot rookie right now, Adam Rajitska.
Yeah,
you can get his signed glossy photo just by entering for the door prize at the event tomorrow.
And Rasmus Anderson,
and I'm drawing the blank on the. Yes, Chris Tanev.
Yeah.
Thanks for remembering. Yeah, so there's so much going on up here right now. But, yeah, the Flames have chipped in. And then also we have an Oiler, not only Chris Joseph, but I don't think they were teammates, but he was a couple years later, Fernando Pisani.
Yeah, a couple years later.
Yeah, so Pisani, Chris connected me with him and got a chance to meet up with him in a Starbucks parking lot out in St. Albert. And he signed a jersey. So that's going to be also up for the raffle tomorrow as well.
So, Chris, how do you get in these draws? Are you just walk in the door and you're automatically entered, or?
No. So you walk into the door, and we'll have a table kind of along to the side to the right, and then that's where all the prizes are. And again, this is all for local charities. This is not for any of my profits or anything else like that. So this all goes back into the community. So the door prizes, and then we'll have the raffle tickets, and you can purchase those and then put your name and number in. And we'll be doing them live later on. I don't know if it's going to be what's happening in Lloydminster or somewhere online. We'll be drawing the prizes live later that evening.
So some great prizes. What are you going to find there? What like I think hockey cards because Chris Joseph's going to be there.
Yeah.
But what kind of vendors are going to be there?
So I've encouraged all other vendors to bring whatever they have that's hobby related. So there could be the Pokemon, Magic the Gathering, which is really big right now, Yu-Gi-Oh, football, baseball, but primarily there'll be hockey. And I have been telling people this is a great way to start off your Christmas shopping for that sports fan in your household. Because you'll have everything. There's sports memorabilia. We have a gentleman, Wayne, from just Kamsask, Saskatchewan, and he is coming up, and he has a ton of vintage rider gear. So he's going to be bringing his collection up along with some of his hockey cards. But with the release of Series 1 that came out just this last Wednesday, there's a ton of new young guns. There's some Connor McDavid Easter egg cards that Upper Deck has put out there that they've got some good value, about $400 or $500 on them right now. So
Connor Bedard in that set?
Did I say McDavid?
Yeah.
Oh. Well, I went with my favorite, I went with my favorite Connor there, but yeah, Connor Bedard.
Yeah,
he has a draft day. It's called an Easter egg because Upper Deck just randomly puts them out there.
Yeah.
So, and it's not really part of a set, but yeah, so it's exciting because a lot of the collectors are just hungry for those cards.
Pokemon's very popular. You got Pokemon cards there too?
Yeah, our friends over at Border City Games, they're going to be providing some cards, Pokemon cards, and I know some of the other vendors will be having those out there. We were trying to get a game going, but apparently you need an actual certified official to run these Pokemon games. I had no idea. So unfortunately, Border City Game notified me a couple days ago that they won't have their official available for the event. So though they're doing something else, I don't know what, but I guess show up and be surprised.
You're also going to do a discussion with Chris Joseph. What time is a good time to come out for that?
So we're planning that for 1 o'clock. Chris and I are going to have I've been dubbed it as a Chris talk. But we're going to be talking about, as a Penguins fan myself, even though I'm wearing my Blues jersey, I'm a big Blues fan as well. But we're going to be talking about draft day when he was selected 5th overall by the Penguins. We're going to be talking about, part of the big trade with Paul Coffey. And then also some of the not so positive things in his life about, losing his son Jackson in the Broncos crash 5 years ago already. So it's a lot of things we'll be talking about, but he's there for the fans. He's there to meet people. We encourage everyone to come on out, and he might not be your most popular favorite Oiler, but he is an Oiler and alumni, and would be great to meet him and get him to sign your jerseys or your hats or whatever you got.
Well, you can hear from his voice on the interview there that he's got some great stories.
Oh, I bet.
To tell. I wish I would have asked him a little bit more. I didn't want to keep him too long, but it's going to be. I find the guy fascinating. I really do. And the fact that he played in so many different places as well. So,
in Germany even.
And in Germany.
Yeah, all across the world.
Yeah, just don't ask about Finland. I don't think Finland was a real popular place. What else you want people to know about the Border City Card Show? Tomorrow, 11 to 5, Rolling Green.
Yeah, absolutely. So, again, just it's going to be a great family event. I've had people that I saw at the Bobcats game. They were excited to be coming, bringing the family out. And it's whether your kids are just into hockey and they have a couple favorite players, they can find some cards of those players or whatever that they want. We have some art as well. It's Oiler art. There's a gentleman his name is Michael, he's out of Edmonton, and also a lady out of Cold Lake that does some canvas Oiler art, and it's a beautiful thing. So it's not just cards. It's everything hobby related as far as sports go. So it's just...
Well, I was going to ask, because I mentioned this the other day. I hope I wasn't out of place.
Yeah.
First 100 kids?
Oh, yeah. See, there's so much on the plate.
Yeah.
But the first 100 kids through the door, I have little grab bags that I made up, and there's just assorted random cards, and some of them have decently valued cards in them. Nothing like $100 worth, but kids get a free grab bag for the first 100 kids through the door.
Awesome. Anything else, Chris?
I don't think so. There's so much more. I just want to thank a lot of the local sponsors. Like, we have people chipping in town here. Tony over at the Ivanhoe Motel, he's provided accommodations for 4 of the vendors at no charge. Wow. So just people in this community chipping in just because they love this community and they are in support of the organizations that we are raising money for. And again, that's what this is about, is just everybody to have fun, meet an Oiler, raise money for this community, and then we'll be doing it again in March.
Awesome. Thanks, Chris.
Thanks, Kurt.
Oh, can you give us any details on March yet?
March 23rd at the casino.
Oh, already? Wow.
Yeah,
Got that
I
planned.
booked her. I just wanted to make sure I got it all. And I'm working on a former Oiler as well, an Oiler goalie. So we'll see.
Thanks, Chris.
You bet. Thanks, Kurt.
Sticking with sports, we're back on Tuesday night. We'll be at the Canadian Brewhouse with the Tuesday Night Sports Show. And, of course, we're going to talk Riders with the big game today and the big disaster that was this season for the Saskatchewan Roughriders. And then on Wednesday, we're going to talk about downtown and building up the downtown again, because they've had serious construction going on all summer, and it's set to open in about a week and a half here again downtown. So we're going to talk about a contest the Red Bicycle has going on Wednesday. And then some really interesting stuff coming up on Thursday. Mary Gerald Alber is going to be joining us, and we're going to be talking about public transportation in Lloydminster, and we're working on some great shows at Stockade Roundup, and lots of fun stuff is on the way. Hope to see you tomorrow at the Border City Card Show. And don't forget, new Lloydminster Nissan moving sale on now, open till 5 o'clock today, no payments for 6 months.